Alright, these next few ones are going to be topics that I've talked about before pretty extensively, but I have now formalized it, so these ones I am going to strictly read as much as possible from what I've written down from the research, but I will do my best to offer my other expansive insights. So this one's going to be about humanoid robotics using sense, think, act, and the human parallel with perception, interaction, propulsion, locomotion. I've been talking about this a lot recently. I need to get the rest of the thoughts out of the system, and then we can move on. Humanoid robotics can be analyzed through the framework of sense, think, and act, which parallels human cognition encompassing perception, interaction, propulsion, and locomotion. This decomposition provides insights into how humanoid robotics can be engineered to exhibit more complex and efficient human action-like behaviors. I'm now going to synthesize the relevant literature to explore the implications of these breakdowns in humanoid robotics. This is written kind of like the way that I do my product design reviews, so I just have a lit review style. So, number 1, perception and sensing. Perception is the foundational stage in the human cognition in robotics, requiring the ability to perceive the environment accurately. Humanoid robots have made significant strides in integrating these sensory systems because they're based on mimicking human perceptual capabilities. For example, the flexible multimodal soul sensors have been developed to enable robots to discern complex ground information, think proprioception and posture, crucial for maneuvers in uneven terrains, Zhu et al. 2021. We also have the integration of AI enhancing these perceptual capabilities by having better interactions within diverse human-centric environments. So we need to adapt the behaviors based on the context. Karthika et al. 2023. This is what we see in Atlas. This is what we see even with the teleoperation of robots like Neo. Now we have interaction and understanding affordances. So this is focused on recognizing actionable affordances in the environment. This is a term by Gibson and ecological psychology, where the simple definition is thinking of it as an opportunity for action in the environment that is available to you. In humanoid robotics, interaction capabilities hinge on the robot's ability to comprehend human gestures and language, which ensures a seamless human-robot collaboration. This is critical specifically for places where humanoid robots may need to interpret social cues or like body language and respond appropriately. At our level, we might think of it, say, as like Criminal Minds or the show Lie to Me, where we think of micro expressions and analyzing those psychological level profiles. Robots aren't there yet, so their social skill reading is going to be mostly based on body language and those kind of cues. So now we have talking about, there's a really interesting thing by Zagarikis et al. 2017, which is about a project called Walkman, where it has pretty nice manipulation and balance capabilities. I think Atlas has pretty competitive ones as well, but that's a pretty interesting one from all the way back during 2017, which I think is long enough. I don't remember if Boston Dynamics had its first iteration about Atlas out by then. But anyways, here, let's now get to propulsion and motor control. So propulsion in humanoid robots is related closely to the force motor control. So I think Raza Schmader I think that's wrong, it's Reza. But yeah, he has a lot of great neuroscience on force motor control. I just know of him. I didn't really reference him in this, but but he has one for optimum feedback control, which is this particular loop where he talks about how the system of the body and the mind are working together during learning, and it's sort of this duality of the learning of the external environment and getting the feedback from that, as well as the feedback from the internal environment and the changes that are happening, because those are constant calculations that need to happen as both sides are changing in their environment. So anyways, this is for the efficient generation of movement. This is fundamental for allowing robots to navigate through their environment cohesively. So now we have the use of elastic actuators, which are providing an optimal balance between compliance and strength. Think biotensegrity models. We're getting closer towards that. We have great functional actuators and joint capabilities to look at arthrokinematics, arthrokinematics. Now we need more osteokinematics. Now we need more of the arthrokinematics, where we're having more of the elastic and the biotensegrity kind of models being expressed through the robotics and through the technology. So this is where this is the Walkman project and how that demonstrated those qualities. Zagarikis et al. 2017. We also have Sanfilippo et al. 2019, who I believe were specifically focused on the energy efficiency and how it informed dynamism during locomotion, which will come up next. So I really appreciated that little alignment of my thing. So now we have the physiological alignment of motor outputs, which is mimicking human intention, where I look at it as intention alignment that I do, say in physical therapy, where I'm trying to get people to align their intention. What do I want to do with what should actually happen? How do you express it? Does it align? Does it overlap well? Your first attempt at something, you're probably going to fail. It's not going to map out well, but over time with practice, it will map out really well. So now, this is from Front Lagoon and Vesties, 2008, where we get to the transition of motor control with locomotion, and we're looking at how is it being energy efficient and adaptable. So in this case, when you're recruiting motor units, for example, as a long distance runner, at a certain point you are still recruiting your slow twitch fiber units, but your fast twitch fiber units have eventually run out. You're not able to recruit those units anymore. So like even if you try to like pick it up, so at that stage you no longer have as much of an efficient method for energy conservation, and that's really important when we look at the thermodynamics of everything. And that's why I think it'll be really cool when we bring this back to fascia, because fascia as an integrated source of information acts as like this global cooling unit, I think, for all of the locomotion, and helps with that energy efficiency and adaptability. So now let's get to locomotion and coordinated movement. So locomotion in humanoids involves the intricate coordination of movements similar to human biomechanics. Studies have observed that utilizing a controlled sequence of movements can enhance the stability and efficiency of dynamic walking systems. Think gait. For example, the construction of robots like the Walkman demonstrates the effectiveness of specialized actuation systems that facilitate high-stability locomotion through synchronized movements. High-stability locomotion through synchronized movements is basically defining you need to have stability in order to express mobility. We think about this even from the idea of you need to have proximal stability in order to express distal mobility. You need to have a strong core in order to have great mobility outside. You can think of this mentally too. You need to have a strong internal sense of empowerment with that in order to express and be molded and mold the environment around you. Plasticity. That's a good little hint to the Google DeepMind paper where they talk about plasticity being the mirror of empowerment. We have plasticity, the distal mobility, empowerment, the proximal stability. And you need that interplay internally and externally with the environment, because that's where we come back to propulsion and the motor control and even the interaction layer, where we need to understand, you know, when we take action, there's changes in the environment and there's changes in our internal model with my bodily position in space. So those calculations are happening, and the interplay of that is what we really need to optimize, is at that boundary layer. So what are the implications of this for humanoid robotics and embodied intelligence? The breakdown of these cognitive processes provides a framework, I think, for improving humanoid robotics, because I think it provides just one extra layer deeper and aligns with some of the other things I've been recently talking about, like the Burns learning and steering subsystems that he talks about, and he's a great leader in the field of neuro and AI and that intersection. So I think it's really handy to now provide this language to sort of continue this unification that's happening, and as Michael Levitt talks about, this asynchronous conference that's happening with, you know, all of these different advanced fields now converging onto these same kind of conclusions. So, summarizing, the decomposition of human-like processes into distinct functional categories of, this is a mouthful that I repeatedly have said so much, perception, interaction, propulsion, and locomotion, paves the way for enriching humanoid robotics. The literature reveals the groundwork which emphasizes the scientific and technological advancements which underpin this integration, which I'll connect in a later video to Atlas and the connections with DeepMind and Boston Dynamics. And this is all going to be vital for creating sophisticated, intelligent, and embodied robotic systems that can successfully engage with their environments similarly to humans, because I think that engagement with the environment with safety is what really defines the learning algorithms that enable humans to learn as effectively, because the level of information that we get at all of these levels of perception, interaction, locomotion, propulsion, locomotion, we have a lot more information that we are integrating at once, even if it may not stack up to the kind of compute that these artificial intelligences have that are more computer-based. We might not have the same level of compute for the data, but we do have, I think, a greater degree of information that is being integrated. It's just black boxed away from us in how we understand our own consciousness, right? We still don't understand the depth of subjective experience. We still don't understand the depth of our subconscious and what informs, the advanced and like intuitive grasp that we have in living in the world. Like, we have a sort of intuitive grasp of like catching a ball, right? All of those things are really hard to encode for a computer at this stage. So those are the kinds of things where we still have, as humans, a distinct, advantage that we can leverage and learn from when we think about how are we intelligent relative to the design of these artificial intelligences. So